And so you'll open the meeting.
And it's a one-way conversation.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, we're good.
Are we right to go?
Okay.
Yeah.
We're on.
All right. So.
You can either open the meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought we just. All right. Okay. All right. Welcome to the January meeting, January 2022 meeting of Junee Shire Council. I'd like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people, who are the traditional custodians of this land, and also pay my respects to their elders, both past, present, and extend that respect to other community members present. In accordance with Council's code of meeting practice, this Council meeting is being recorded and will be placed on Council's webpage for public information. All present at the meeting are reminded that by speaking, you are agreeing to your view and comments being recorded and published. I would also like to remind councillors and staff that during all our discussions and deliberations, we should be respectful and mindful of others present. We should at all times listen without interrupting and use words that do not personalise an individual, nor should they be offensive in any way. Whilst discussion, debate and an open mind is encouraged, please let us all keep our discussions productive, civil and inclusive. Junee Shire Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures during the council meeting. I swear that I will undertake the duties of the Office of Councillor in the best interests of the people of Junee and the Junee Shire Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment. Right, so thank you, councillors, and I'm welcoming Jamie Bedingfield, who wants to present on the subject of the proposed shed in Logan Road.
So generally,
item 1 on our agenda. Code of meeting. Generally, the procedure is maximum 5 minutes. It's maximum 5. It's not a two-way conversation.
okay.
My name's Jamie Bedingfield.
Like this or something? And the sound. And then, oh, yeah, volume, is it? Where's the volume? Up here. Yeah, that's so.
James, I think you need to mute, so it's only Jamie.
Yeah, we've tried that. Just going to try.
So,
why don't you come across here, Jamie, and you can do it from here. Can you turn that one, please?
sorry, we're just going to move Jamie. Come on down.
Come on here and just sit here. Sit in his chair and just look that way, and you can have a chat.
All right, my name's Jamie Bedingfield. I'm here with my partner Kirsty Clark as well, and we're just here to justify the reason as to why we're requesting to build a large shed. The block of land that is being referred to here is over 1,500 square metres, which we understand is zoned as an R5 large block residential zone. We've put a lot of thought into these plans. We've cut the block 1.6 metres below the existing ground level, and on top of that, there is a 1.8 metre colorbond fence at the back boundary. That's 3.4 metres of the shed that you won't see above the back boundary fence, leaving only 2 metres of the shed visible above the fence. And therefore, the reason why I assume there have been no submissions from neighbours against the height of the shed. But it also can be seen as a privacy screen for both us and the neighbours. But even though the shed has been cut into the back boundary, I understand that the height of the shed is not complying currently with the 4.8 metre ridge height. However, to overcome this discrepancy, I understand that there is an opportunity to use 15% tolerance margins. So therefore, the proposed shed would fall under the 15% tolerance, making it compliant. There's also a shed on the corner of Johnson Street and Hayes Crescent, which is adjacent to our proposed build, that would easily stand 3 metres above their boundary fence. And we know that it is 150 square metres on a village zone block. Another shed that comes to mind is the 240 square metre shed on 28 Logan Road. It stands, it'd have to be nearly 5 metres on a flat block, also a village zone block. Our block is large residential block, and where our consent and a variation could be supported makes us wonder why we're being refused instead of being encouraged by our local council. We'd also like to mention that we did choose to build with Paul Allen from Atondo Homes in Junee. He's a local builder that uses local tradesmen, which I see as investing in local businesses. Also with this build would come additional rates, which is also good for the community. The choice of this block of land was to fulfill our dream of a large block and a large shed. And as you can appreciate, the process of designing our dream home and lifestyle, and then have it possibly change is heartbreaking for us. Thank you for the review of this request, and subsequently we are looking forward to hearing from you what we sincerely hope is a favourable outcome to be our dream home on Logan Road. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Stephen, sit down a bit.
Okay, councillors, we might just continue with our agenda to get us to the first item. So we have no apologies. We've got 2 lots of minutes that we need to confirm. So would somebody either like to do them separately, the meeting of the November meeting? So move Councillor Callow, second Councillor Clinton, would that be right? Okay.
I move, I second that.
I'm sorry, I saw Councillor Clinton, was it up first? Right. Thank you, Councillor Carter. Okay, all those in favour?
With the adjustment I sent in.
Oh, sorry, I'm told that's been done, Councillor Carter, so.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I'll just put that again. Those in favour? Let's just have the hands so we know where we're up to. Thank you. All those against? Thank you. Carried. And the 23rd of December meeting minutes, somebody like to move those? Councillor Asmus and Councillor Carter. All right, I'll put that. Those in favour? Let's see your hands, folks. Thank you. Yep, those against, I'll declare that carried. Do we have any declarations of interest? Is that you, Councillor Carter?
Yes, I do.
Right. Thank you, Councillor Callow, for your red hand. That's a nice addition. Councillor Carter.
I wish to declare, it's a general declaration. I should have done it to the council a couple of months ago, but they just slipped past me. It's due with Inland Rail, Albury to Illabo, traffic improvement, level crossing LX 605. And it's a pecuniary interest in that crossing. And the reason for that is, as a result of the Inland Rail development, Albury to Illabo upgrade, level crossing LX 605 is being upgraded from passive to active. I wish to declare a pecuniary interest in this crossing. I am the landholder who, in conjunction with the Junee Shire Council, have an agreement with the AITC in relation to the management and operation of this crossing. In essence, it is a private crossing as against a public crossing. As a result of this interest, I will be withdrawing from a council meeting if any matter relating to As a result of this interest, I will be withdrawing from a council meeting if any matter relating to the specific nature of this crossing is to be debated before council. And I will now work out how to download the piece of paper off the minutes. So I'll forward it to Sharon tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Thank you for that. Any other declarations? Councillor Halliburton. Councillor Halliburton.
Sorry, I keep on unmuting the wrong thing. I wish to declare a interest at this meeting, a general declaration regarding the Inland Rail Albury to Illabo track improvement to crossing LX 605. I, Pamela Jean Halliburton, declare the following interest. A non-pecuniary, less than significant conflict. Council member may choose to remain in chamber and participate in discussion and voting for the reason that Councillor David Carter is a relative of mine as defined under section 4.4, little part of a section I. However, under section 4.5 part C, I have no beneficial interest in the affairs of Councillor Carter, and I will work out how to email this into Sharon later on after the meeting.
Thanks, Councillor. Thanks, Councillor Halliburton. Any other declarations? No, we'll move on. We'll move to the General Manager's Report, item 1, which is the application for a shed in Logan Road. And we've got a recommendation there. Does anyone want to move that recommendation or an alternative? Councillor Carter, you're moving the recommendation? Yes. We've got a seconder for that.
Sorry. Yep.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? No. Oh, sorry, Councillor Halley. Sorry, I'm not sure whether it was Councillor Halliburton or Callow. We'll go with Halliburton. Thank you. All right. Any discussion on that recommendation? Speakers for. Councillor Carter, you moved it. You have the right to say something. Councillor, sorry, I'll just ask Councillor Carter first, then we'll go to Councillor Cook. Councillor Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just think that the size of the block and the size of the shed is just totally out of proportion to the location where it is. I'm not overly concerned about the height because it's cut into the ground and it loses the height effectiveness in the surrounding area. But I just consider the footprint is totally inadequate for the block size.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Councillor Cook.
Thank you. It's a 1,600 metre block, is that correct?
50, yep, just under
1,500 metre block.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you. Yeah, I don't have a big issue with it, but I'll go with the flow. I just wanted to verify the size of the block. Thank you.
Okay. Any councillors have any alternate view or question they'd like to ask before I put the motion? Okay, I'll put the motion now. We'll need to see your hands for this one. It's a division. So all those in favour of the motion? Okay, hands up. Just keep your hands up. Okay, I've got a couple that don't have their hands up. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the motion. Now we need to record these, don't we now?
Yep.
Yep. So I'll just keep your hands up, please. Councillor Clinton, Councillor Callow, Councillor Carter, Councillor Halliburton, Councillor Knight. All right. Thank you for that. We've got those recorded. Yep. Okay. Those against? Okay. We've got 1, 2, 3. So we've got Councillor Cook, Councillor Asmus, and Councillor Austin. And yeah,
What are you doing?
yeah, okay. So I'm voting for the motion. So that's, I think we've got those then.
Yep.
All right, you can put your hands down. Thank you. Or I'll declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. All right, we'll go to election of delegates to committees.
Mr. Mayor, could I move a variation to the recommendation, please? And the variation is the council nominate and endorse members and delegates for relevant committees and organisations up until September 23 to bring it into line with a 12-monthly cycle, which usually at the end of a 12-monthly cycle in 4 years' time or 3 years' time, our elections will be held. So it just brings it sort of into line.
Yes. Yep, no, I understand what you're saying, Councillor.
But it
Sounds like it
term
makes
ended September 23.
Yep, okay, can we get a seconder for that one, please? Councillor Halliburton. All right, sorry, Councillor Austin, I think Councillor Halliburton seems to be in my sights today. All right, so we've got I guess this will be an additional one. This is just a timing thing, so we'll vote on that one first. And any other discussion? You've had your say, have you, Councillor Carter? You don't want to add anything to that? Okay. All right, I'll put that. Those in favour? Let's see your hands. Okay, I think we've got a unanimous one there. I'll just say those against, just to be sure. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, councillor Carter. That was a good idea, I think, procedurally. Right, so I'll now put the, we need to go through these one by one, I think, don't we? So let's have a look.
Internal audit.
Okay, so we've just recap that resolution, please, councillor Carter. We're basically nominating councillors for a longer period, so that
September 20.
yeah, September 23.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So yeah.
Yep.
So that's good. Okay. All right. So I guess that's the first recommendation. Now we just need to look at the current membership and who's sort of got an interest. I don't know how we. So we'll call for some nominations. Let's all just run through the committee. So the internal audit committee is the first one on our list. Currently, I'll just remind people we've got councillor Callow and Halliburton with councillor Asmus as an alternate. So councillor Clinton, you're nominating for the internal audit committee.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. So anyway,
We need
I'm more than happy to be an
Any other
alternate. I'm happy to be an alternate again.
You are or aren't? Sorry.
I am happy to be an alternate.
You are. Right.
Yes.
Thank you, councillor Erasmus. All right. So we need another nomination or self-nomination for the audit committee. Anybody else? Bit of a dry subject. Councillor Callow, you're not lining up again. Get frozen again. Here we go.
No, he's still.
Oh dear. We've got a real bandwidth problem, haven't we? I'm sorry,
I just
councillors,
wondered
you
if
can hear
anyone
me,
else was interested in it. It's a good learning exercise. Mark,
Yeah.
councillor Knight might be interested.
I don't know. There could be a lot of people putting their hand up out there, but they've all frozen, councillor Halliburton. I got you for a moment, but
No,
Oh.
there's no one.
you can see nobody's putting their hand up. Are you interested,
No.
councillor Halliburton?
Well, yes, but I think it's important for other people to go on it if you know, councillor Gallo and I were talking about this before. I think it's important for other people to go on it to get an experience of it.
Well,
I'm happy to nominate to go on to that one as well.
oh, okay. Thank you, councillor Knight. All right, then, in light of councillor Halliburton's point of view, then I think we might have filled the position. So we've got councillor Clinton and councillor Knight with councillor Asmus as an alternate. So,
I'm happy to second all of those.
all right. So does that mean David's? No. Do we have a mover?
David.
David, I'm just trying to get this
No, no,
procedurally
David
right now.
hasn't commented on this.
No,
particular
okay.
One.
Councillor Clinton nominated himself. Councillor Knight nominated herself. Councillor Asmus nominated himself as an alternate.
Well, to save the problem, Mr. Mayor, I'll move that those three people with their relevant nominations be accepted for the.
Thank you, councillor Carter. Perfect. And a seconder for that, please. Councillor Austin. All right. All those in favour? Those against? I'll declare that carried. Thank you. The Traffic Committee, previously councillor Cook, an alternate councillor Halliburton. Councillor Cook, you're interested in that committee, I understand again, yes? Any other nominations for the, I guess, the main delegate? We're all happy with councillor Cook. I'll take that as a yes. And what about as an alternate?
I'm happy to go as an alternate.
Thank you, councillor Halliburton. Any other people interested in the alternate position? Okay, we will go with, yep. So just, okay, you're moving that, councillor Asmus.
Happy to move that. Through
And a second to councillor Austin. All those in favour? Those against, I'll declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. The Junee Youth Council, councillor Asmus is previously the delegate. I understand he's got a job that takes him away, but he's also our youngest member, so he's
a little bit.
handy.
I'm more than happy to sit on that again. If anybody, I know that councillor Knight showed a little bit of interest, so I'm more than happy to put myself on that committee, but also share the role as well. So it doesn't have to be just a one-person job.
Well, we could probably take an alternate if that's the case. How would that be? If Councillor Knight, are you a bit interested in that space?
Yes, it's the area I work in, so I'd be happy to go as an alternative, but also be mindful of the workload with a few other things as well. So I would work with Councillor Asmus on that one.
Right.
Welcome aboard, Councillor Knight.
Thank you for your... Yeah, here. Okay, so somebody like to move those delegates, please. Councillor Austin, Councillor Callow, and all those in favour? Yeah, thank you. Those against, I'll declare that carried. Thank you. So we've got external committee
Mr. Mayor,
delegates.
if I'd like to move that the General Manager be the River Anna Murray Regional Emergency Management Committee.
Yeah, it's really a role for an operational person, in my view. Yeah, so, all right. So a seconder, sorry for that. Thank you, Councillor Asmus. Councillor Austin. All right, those in favour? No, have we frozen again? No. Okay, those against, I'll declare that one carried. Goldenfields Council's been done. Junee Sports Committee. So it was Councillor Walker. So we've got a vacant spot for somebody to be on the sports committee. Somebody like to take an interest in that one?
I've actually spoken to the chairperson earlier today, Jason Barrett, and had talk about what's involved. And I wasn't planning on the internal audit committee, but I'm more than happy to do the sports one.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Okay, Councillor Austin, you're moving, and Councillor Callow's seconding.
Councillor Knight, that's right.
Yep. Okay. All those in favour? As against, declare that carried. Thank you very much.
Good on you, Councillor.
Yeah, well done. Okay, the Riverina JO. Normally that's the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. Certainly, I'm happy to.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to move that the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor be the alternative on that committee.
Thank you. A seconder, please. Councillor Knight, I think. Thank you. And thank you too, Councillor Cook. All right, I'll put that. Those in favour? As against, declare it carried. It's a bit laborious, folks. I'm sorry about this, but it's got to be done. So REROC, it's a very similar situation. Normally, REROC, the representatives, the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor. Are you happy to? I'm happy to sort of go for that one again. I imagine you are too, Councillor Austin. Move Councillor Clinton, a seconder, or a seconder for that?
Robin.
Oh, Robinson, Councillor Asmus. All right, those in favour? Those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. Riverina Regional Library, Councillor Halliburton.
I'd like to move Councillor Halliburton for that position.
I'm happy to second that.
And well, the General Manager has traditionally been the alternate.
Yes,
so moved. Thank you.
All right, so.
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor?
Yes, Councillor Carter, sorry, yes.
You said the Mayor, the Deputy, the General Manager alternate, but written in the preamble as General Manager is a delegate and the alternate is
I'm sorry, you are,
development.
You are correct. I'm sorry, Councillor Carter. Yeah, that is correct. So we've got Councillor Halliburton and the General Manager as delegates and the Director of Planning and Community Development as the alternate. So, so we might just undo it. I'm not sure procedurally how we undo that. We didn't vote on it. So move Councillor Callow. Who seconded that before? Councillor Austin. Sorry, Councillor Asmus. That's right. All right. So I'll put that for the delegates. Okay, those in favour. Okay, I'll declare that carried. We hadn't actually discussed the Director of Planning and Community Development, but I suppose we might just need to do that one now. No? You've included that in there? I'm sorry. Okay.
It's delegated to the
All
GM.
right.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
if I can't go, she goes.
Very good. All right. The Zone Service Level Agreement Committee. Councillor Carter and Councillor the General Manager. So Councillor Carter, you're nominating?
Second that.
Yes.
Okay, all right, and sorry,
Second that,
okay, all right.
Councillor Callow.
To include the general manager as well.
Include the GM, I presume.
Mm.
All right, I'll put that. Those in favour? Once against, declare that carried. Rural Fire Service, the Bushfire Management Committee, Councillor Carter and the Director of Engineering Service traditionally. So, Councillor Carter, you're
Happy to
putting your
second.
hand up.
Happy to second Councillor Carter.
Okay, all right. And that includes the director too, I presume?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I'll put that motion. Those in favour? Those against, I'll declare that carried. Senior Citizens Week Committee, Councillor Holmes and Councillor Halliburton. And the General Manager and his nominated rep. So we've got 3 there. Councillor Clinton, are you nominating yourself, Councillor Clinton? Yes, all right. And Councillor Halliburton, you're happy again?
Yes.
All right. And the General Manager, presume you're still on board? Okay, somebody like to move those 3 delegates, please. Councillor Carter, second to Councillor Asmus. Those in favour? Councillor Halliburton, you're in favour, I'm presuming. All right. I'll declare that carried. Right, the Weeds Committee, Councillor Carter's been carrying the torch for that one, and previously was Councillor Holmes as an alternate. So, Councillor Carter, I presume you're happy to continue with that?
Yes.
And as an alternate, Councillor Cook and Councillor Asmus both had their hands up. So,
I'm easy, doesn't matter which one.
I was seconding, so Cookie, you're on, mate.
Okay, so all right, we'll say so we've got Councillor Carter, Councillor Cook. Someone like to move?
Don't rush, fellas, don't rush.
Move Councillor Asmus, second to Councillor Austin. All those in favour? Let's see your hands. Thank you. All right, I'll declare that unanimously carried. Local
3,
police
Mr. Mayor.
liaison.
I'm happy to move that the Mayor and the General Manager be on that committee for the local police liaison committee.
Very good. Thank you. Can we have a second? Councillor Halliburton seconding that. All right, those in favour? Those against, I'll declare that carried. External committees. So we've got the Inland Rail Community Consultation Committee, Section A to I, previously Councillor Halliburton and the Director of Planning and Community Development. We're happy for that to continue. Councillor Halliburton, you are, presumably?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor.
All
I'm happy to move that we,
All
allow Councillor Halliburton to continue in that role.
Thank you. Ably done. And I see Councillor Austin had his hand up. Are you seconding that, Councillor Austin? It's gone a bit frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. Sorry. Thank you. All right. Those in favour?
In addition to that, are we including the Director of Planning and Community Development on that committee as well, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. I think that was the inference, Councillor Asmus. Unless there's some strenuous objection in that quarter.
No.
No, Stacey, you're pretty happy with that? Okay, very good. Okay, Inland Rail Community Consultation Committee, Section I to S. Previously, Councillor Halliburton and the General Manager.
Can I move that, keep that the same if Councillor Halliburton accepts?
Thank you. Yes.
And second to Councillor Austin. All right, all those in favour? Okay, declare that carried. Thank you. All right, that what have we got? One more. The Junee Health Advisory Committee. So Councillor Holmes. So there's just information. This is just for information. So as far as I know, there's no requirement for council to have a delegate. Sorry, there's a couple of hands up. Somebody.
I think it's very important that we have a councillor on this committee and to report back. And I would like us to support Councillor Callow in that regard.
All right. Well, this. All right. The general. Okay. Well, we've got the general manager just like.
I have had
Yes.
discussion with councillor Holmes previously on this, and he's going to speak to the LHAC committee, and they'll get back to us in due time.
All right. The general manager is champing at the bit here to say something. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council has no authority to move a delegate to this particular committee. So when the nominations are open again for this particular committee, they'll be circulated, and we'll circulate it to councillors, and they can choose whether or not one or more want to nominate. Murrumbidgee District Local Health Service encourage the councillors to nominate. They do want to have that representative, but we have no authority to issue a delegate to that committee unless invited to do so.
I guess we could let them know that we have an interest, perhaps just for the staff's information. And I guess if we just remember the keen interest on the part of Councillor Callow. Thank you, Councillor Callow. Very good. Okay, so I don't think we need to adopt anything in that regard at this stage. Okay, so that concludes that item. We'll move to item 3, which is a draft model code of meeting practice. And just bearing in mind a couple of things. There was some discussion yesterday at our workshop about the need to perhaps include some additional things in the code, but bearing in mind also that this will be out as a draft for comment. So it'll be coming back to us. So
Mr. Mayor,
there's a recommendation there.
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor
can I
Carter?
move that standing orders be abolished, please?
For
the purpose of just a brief discussion about the about clauses which could be put in or left out.
Certainly. Have you got a seconder, Councillor Carter? Somebody like to second that? Councillor Austin? All right, I'll put that we suspend standing orders for some discussion on the code of meeting practice. Of those in favour? Sorry, I'm looking up here. Okay, those against, I think it's unanimous. All right, I'll declare that carried. Councillor Carter, please, if you'd like to open.
Yeah, 3.10, sorry.
Yep.
Business days is written in the wording twice.
Try to. I guess.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Yeah. Some of the key stuff rather than the typos.
That was the only typo I could find. Anyway, 5.19 is what was half discussed about yesterday, and I'm just wondering why we can't have that and its relevant clauses put in.
Just bear with me while I try and get to that one.
5.19. It is to do with attendance by councillors at meetings by audio-visual link.
I think it said our equipment's not up to snuff, I think was what it was, the basis of that. I'll hand over to the General Manager, who can answer it better than I, of course.
Yeah, it's in the report, through you, Mr. Mayor, it's in the report that we don't have the appropriate equipment to have an opt-in, opt-out model in terms of running the meetings as yet, and that's why it's been excluded. It does create issues for us, which is not set up that way, but that said, there's no reason why it can't be put in later. When we do, we will probably want to have an understanding of the costs of that type of equipment, and that's something that can be supplied later.
If it's in there, we can still opt not to use it.
I don't think through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't believe that is the case. If it's in there, a council has the option to use it. If we're not set up to actually facilitate that, it creates a conflict, an unnecessary conflict. It would be preferential to exclude it, or alternatively consider it later on. We can certainly get some pricing. We've been asking for pricing to do something very similar, but we do not have it yet. So we can bring that to your attention when it arrives. And if you want to include it, in fact, if we do get it before the adoption of this particular report, which can't be until after the public exhibition, it may be that we can provide you with a hint as to how much it's going to cost and whether you want to consider that.
How difficult it is to include it later on?
From what I
Through you,
understood,
Mr. Mayor, does it need to be that specific? I mean, if you look at 5.16, 5.7, I mean, I suppose even 5.18, there's
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Can we have the answer to the question of Councillor Carter first before Councillor Asmus's question? Please.
Yep, certainly, Councillor Halliburton. Yep, we'll come back to you, Councillor Asmus. Thank you.
no, my apologies, Councillor Halliburton.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, it's just a matter of reviewing the policy
Okay,
and
thank you.
potentially publicly exhibiting it and then adopting it.
Okay, so yeah, I understood it was a fairly simple matter for some minor changes to be made to it. Councillor Asmus.
Yeah, no, just I suppose bringing it to note, meetings held by Audio Visual Link 5.16, 5.17. Essentially, there's a lot of onus back on the mayor, but it's also a little bit grey in terms that it essentially could potentially cover 5.19 anyway. That it's up to a discussion between the mayor and each councillor, etc.
Yeah, so it's certainly some scope there anyway. It's just not a lay down misere that any councillor can decide to zoom in rather than be physically present. I think it's the only difference is how I read it. Okay, so at the moment, that's what we're going to have this discussion there, Councillor Carter, before I put it to the other councillors for any comment.
The next one was 8.2. If we're not going to have the audio visual link by councillors, is that the agenda item 8.2.3? Is the last part got to be deleted if we're not, or does that include what Councillor Asmus just said about 5.16?
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
5.16?
Yeah. So through you, Mr. Mayor, 8.3 is to facilitate an audio-visual council meeting where all councillors are present via the audio link, just as it is now. So that's 8.3. It needs to be in there. It is separate to the question you raised about whether councillors can opt in or out of attending those audio meetings.
Yeah, thank you. I just half worked it out. Thank you. And 11.11.
Legs 11.
Legs 11.
Yeah, let's hang on. Yes.
It was mentioned yesterday in our workshop that it'd be handy for the mayor on a recorded session of council, not a telephone, not a video link like we're having now, but a recorded session.
An audio.
The names, audio. But the names of the councillors in favour and against be verbally said into a recording. So does this need to be in there for that to happen?
Certainly, I would have thought it something that I hadn't been aware of before. So to have it stated somewhere, I don't know exactly. So that's probably the place to put it, Councillor Carter. Yeah. So the GM's got a bit to add to that, but I tend to agree.
So again, through you, Mr. Mayor, we tried to give you an indication as to this clause within the report. So at any point, a councillor can ask for their record of voting to be recorded in the minutes at any point in an open or closed session. This tends to isolate some of that information to the closed session where it would be a deliberate accumulation of votes for and against in closed, and I believe that's the clause that refers to it being an administrative burden to do that and potentially lengthening the time of council meetings. So that's the background for that. It doesn't need to be there. I'll just check in the body of the report just to make sure I'm referring to the right clause. Just bear with me.
So you're saying only in the confidential section, not in the open session? I thought it was.
Councillor Carter's question is in reference to an audio link, which is not important in terms of the code of conduct, in terms of the code of meeting practice. 11.11, just let me get this right. So in the report, you'll see under 11.11, it's proposed to be excluded. Councillors can request their vote is recorded in the minutes against the motion if they wish to, as indicated in clause 11.6. If you include 11.11 as one of the in the code of practice, administrative burden, and would prolong council meetings unnecessarily.
Okay.
But if you wish to have it included, just say so and we will include it. But it will mean on every vote you do, every councillor's vote will be recorded in the minutes, and we will have to in the meeting proper, it will be like it is on audio, where the chairperson or the mayor will indicate that these following councillors voted for it. He will state that, and these following councillors voted against it.
That's I'll leave it up to the meeting I just looking at it after what was said yesterday, that was all. But handy for people listening on audio of actually who voted in and who voted out. That was all.
You're
and
right.
doesn't matter if the names are in the minute in the minutes anyway. Like I see other council minutes with names of councillors written for and against each motion in their respective minute papers. So is it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's up to the council to decide,
Yeah,
and we will act accordingly. The reference to the audio visual meetings is not related to this particular one.
True, that's right.
Right.
And my last one is 20.24.
Just doing a bit of scrolling here.
It's the same thing. It's exactly the same.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Righty. Sorry. Okay. I'm happy, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yeah. It's the same issue. Okay. All right. Just Councillor Halliburton, have you got your hand up?
No, sorry, scratching my head.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay.
I think that we just put it on public exhibition. I mentioned a couple of comma changes to Luke. I would imagine he's taken that on board.
Yeah. Okay.
Can't stop an old English teacher sometimes.
Thank you. All right. Any other discussion before we resume? Councillor Callow.
Just a matter of in 5.4 regarding councillors seeking leave. I noticed there's no mention of that leave being in writing. Is that something that needs to be there?
Oh, yes, I would think so.
5.4 is a mandatory position, I believe, so we can't change it. Let me just check.
Okay. You're right.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, 5.4 is a mandatory provision. We do not have the ability to change it. And the reference to Councillor Callow around leave being in writing is prescribed in the Act, so we have to follow it anyway.
Okay, so it comes in the Act. All right. It's a shame. It would be a good place to have it because that came as a bit of a surprise yesterday too, didn't it, in the workshop? So
yes, indeed.
Can we include it in 5.3? There's a blank that's been left there intentionally.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that blank refers to a clause related to either the County Council or JOs, and you're going to see a few of those throughout the document. We're just trying to keep the numbering the same as the model code.
If it's in the Act, Mr. Mayor, then it's covered.
Okay. All right. Any other councillors got any comments before we resume standing orders? Somebody like to move that we resume? Thank you, Councillor Asmus. Secondly, Councillor Callow. Those in favour? I'll declare that carried. Okay, so got a recommendation. Would somebody like to move the recommendation? Councillor Asmus, seconded Councillor Callow. Any further discussion? I'll put the motion.
Clarification, Mr. Mayor. I just need to raise an issue with the councillors before you put the motion. So
Okay, I thought we had to have a motion in front of us. But
there is a motion. You were just about to put it.
Yep. Okay. My understanding. Anyway, yes, we'll hand over to the General Manager.
Thank you. So, councillors, just so you're all aware, in terms of the report, the table that has been furnished in the report will be implemented, and I'm taking it that the clauses around the briefing session are to be excluded, because there was a discussion about that yesterday, and in this report it keeps them excluded. So I'm just asking for clarity on that.
Councillor Carter.
Yeah, no, I was just agreeing. Hang on, just go back.
So.
Probably that might be better, Mr. Mayor, if we included in that motion, the recommendation that the draft Junee Shire Council Code of Meeting Practice as presented at the meeting, with the exception of the inclusions or the blind out bits or whatever, to clarify it. Does that make it for General Manager easy for him, does it?
No, he's not that happy with it.
So Mr. Mayor, all I'm asking the councillors to give us some feedback on is the clauses that are in there related to councillor briefings prior to the meeting. Do you want them included in the public exhibited document, or do you want them excluded?
You want them?
I think include them.
Is there any reason to exclude them?
What was that, Councillor Callow?
Is there a reason that we would exclude them?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that was discussed yesterday in the induction workshop, and the discussion involved including them. But however, you got the council need to instruct us that they want them included in the publicly exhibited document. Yeah. If you don't, that's fine.
No, I'm for inclusion.
Supposed to be more open and transparent, I think.
Yep. I'm for inclusion.
Okay. All right.
Include the ones we're deleting. Is that what you're saying?
I guess that's one way of putting it. Yeah, so the briefings become part of the formal council meeting.
Yes.
Okay. It'll be an interesting change. Okay.
So we'll take that on board, Mr. Mayor. We'll put the exhibited document out, including the provisions for councillor briefings, with the exhibited document. We can always return to this when it comes back to you anyway. I just wanted to get that clear.
Okay. So everybody happy with that? I might just see your hands anyway, just to be 100% sure. Yep. Okay. We've got unanimous support there. Thank you. Thank you for raising that, Councillor Carter and Mr. General Manager. All right. I'll put the recommendation with the inclusion of the briefings in the meeting. Those in favour? Those against? I'll declare that unanimously carried. Thank you, councillors. Okay, we've got the railway station pedestrian footbridge, item number 4. Councillor Carter's moving, I think, and Councillor Halliburton seconding the recommendation, yes?
No.
No, I want to move.
Oh, hang on. Okay, well, I think Councillor Carter was first, and then we'll go to Councillor Halliburton. Is that okay? Councillor Carter, you're sitting back?
Yeah, I'm trying to think in a hurry. The council continue to investigate possible locations but we continue our process of investigation basically and we get in drone footage of more locations or what the locations look like.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. General Manager, for being a bit wishy-washy, but it took me by surprise. But
Okay.
basically, keep going the way we're going. Just gather more information.
Councillor, I think Councillor Halliburton wanted to say something, and then we'll go to Councillor Callow. Or are you just looking for a second first? Is that how you'd like it, Councillor Carter? It's probably
Well,
procedure.
you need procedurally, you need a second before it keeps on going.
Yeah. All right. So is that okay? Councillor Clinton, I think, is seconding it. Is that a clear enough?
So I can read it out. Jim.
Yeah. We'll get the General Manager to read his interpretation of your recommendation, Councillor Carter.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that council continue to investigate possible locations for the relocation of the Junee pedestrian footbridge.
Yeah, including drone footage and everything. Yeah, subsection drones footage and whatever.
Yeah.
Report back in a couple of months.
Yep. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm taking it from that inference that we can confirm with ARTC that we will be accepting the bridge. There's no divergent from that particular previous resolution.
Getting a lot of nods around the table. Thank you, Mr. General Manager. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so move Councillor Carter, seconded Councillor Clinton. All those in favour? All right, that's unanimous, I think. Yes. Very good. Declare that carried. All right, we've got item 5, investments and bank balances. It's a recommendation there. So Councillor Callow's moving it. Got a seconding, Councillor Asmus. Councillor Austin, have you got something you want to ask, or were you just a bit slow seconding? Slow seconding. Okay, thank you. All right. I'll put that. Those in favour? No, nobody. Mostly we've got everybody. Okay. Any against?
Andrew's got a message.
Sorry, Andrew, can we?
Higher debts as they fall due. If the answer is not in the affirmative, should we not appoint an administrator?
Oh, that might be a separate matter for us to work out. We'll just work on the resolution in front of us at the moment. Okay. So, Councillor Halliburton, were you voting for the recommendation?
No, I was voting against because of my opinion that the restricted and unrestricted balances should be there, as we are the governing body.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Right. Did you want your vote recorded against? Sorry, was that a yes?
Yeah, may as well.
Okay, thank you. And I think Mr. Taberner might just have a comment there. Just
I know he's talked on it.
Oh well, it's his key area.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, in answer to Councillor Clinton's question, we can pay our debts as and when they fall due. There's no worries there. Yeah.
Thank
you. I can go on record as saying that.
Lovely. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Taberner. And it's such a confident answer too.
He's a game man.
Yeah, very well. Well done. Okay. If I declare that carried, I'll declare the recommendation or motion carried with like a vote recorded against. So our next one is item 6, which is the tourist park at Sunnyside Road. There's a recommendation there. Someone like to move that? Sorry. Pam. Sorry, Councillor Halliburton and Councillor Asmus is seconding. All right, I'll put the recommendation. Sorry, it's a planning matter, so we'll need to see your hands. Not whether everybody's frozen again, but we'll see how we go. If we can see your hands for those in favour, please.
Yep, 4-4.
Okay, you've got to see more than I can.
Yep.
So we've got Councillor Clinton.
Yeah, Callow, Carter, Payne. Austin, Cook.
Right.
Right.
Okay. I'm assured everybody put their hand up, and including myself. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. I'll declare that carried. Okay. Now we've got one for item 7, sorry, which is the Boree Street Illabo application. And there's a recommendation there. Somebody, oh, sorry, everybody's disappeared.
No.
Can you see anyone? Anyone moving
Councillor
that?
Halliburton.
Councillor Halliburton moved it.
Yes.
Asmus, is it? No, Councillor Cook. Sorry, I can't see Councillor Cook at the moment, so I'm just taking instructions.
So we've got 2 movers.
Got a mover and a seconder, Halliburton and Cook, and we'll need to see your hands. So those in favour.
Question.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, Councillor Carter.
To the
Mr.
Minister of
Johnson.
Ministries. Oh, well, yeah, it doesn't matter. Does the owner of lot 1 own lot 2? Can you tell us that, can you?
That's an interesting question because, yeah, lot 1's
And-
only
and
2,000 square metres, yeah.
And the second question was, what's happening with the septic?
Okay. Mr. Johnston, I believe, would you be the man for that?
Yep, through you, Mr. Mayor. I believe that the lot owner does own both of those lots. And Mr. Imrie, Council's building surveyor, assures me that septic system can be installed safely on that site. It appears they have something already on site, and it can be made to adapt to what is proposed on as part of the application.
Can I ask a supplementary one, just and probably very much related to Councillor Carter's question? Is the single lot sufficient to handle it, or do the 2 lots need to be consolidated to make sure it's okay?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe the single lot can accommodate it. But we can look at that further.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Carter, you've still got your hand there somewhere.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I encourage the development of the blocks in Ilbo. That's fine. I record for that. Just a shame it probably got roof structural line is a skiing type roof and not a roof, as you could say, which probably downgrades the area a little bit. But anyway, it's just their choice and not our choice to warrant it has to be a pitched roof instead of a skiing. Anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Yep, it's a good observation. Aesthetics are a consideration, of course. Okay, any other discussion? All right, we'll put the recommendation and we'll need to see hands, of course. Those in favour, hands up. Okay, I'll declare that unanimously carried. Thank you. Go to item 8, which is the state significant agricultural land. This is the draft mapping.
Presentation for you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we've got a presentation. So I guess we'll do that first. Okay, thank you. Rowan's going to manage that one. Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, councillors. Rowan Johnson, the Council's Town Planner. I've got a presentation here for you this afternoon on the Department of Primary Industries report and from the Commissioner and some of the draft mapping that's come out of that process. So I'll just share my screen now and we'll get underway. Okay, can everyone see?
Hasn't come up yet, right?
Can we see?
No, not yet.
Not yet?
Just wait a sec, it'll come up. We'll let you know. Perhaps just keep talking about the principles.
Here we go. We're almost there.
Yep, we're there.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yep.
right screen. All right, so a little bit of background to this report and this matter. The New South Wales government last year decided finally that there was importance of agricultural industry in New South Wales, and I understand, and we all understand, that as residents of a regional area, we know that importance. So it's nice to see that acknowledged. So the New South Wales government, in all their wisdom, have shared with us that the output of the New South Wales agriculture industry was reported as a record $20.9 billion during the period of 2020 to 21, where the national output for the previous year was approximately $67 billion. So a third of the national output from New South Wales is a pretty good effort, I think. And so that figure on the right-hand side of the screen represents a breakdown of the agriculture outputs from the Riverina region, and that period's from 2019 to 20. The report also stated that the industry supplied approximately 86,000 jobs in 2021. The majority of these jobs being in regional areas and within other industries, both ones that rely on the raw materials to be generated and complementary industries such as wineries and tourism. So the New South Wales government has committed then to supporting the agricultural industry's objective of growing farm gate production to approximately $30 billion by 2030. And that's through various measures such as intensification and supporting development where it's appropriate. The only issue with this is that it has the potential in conjunction with an increasing population to lead to increased land use conflict. The current figures suggest that the population will increase by 2.8 million people to 10.6 million residents in New South Wales by 2041, which creates land supply issues for housing, and which in turn then creates land supply issues for agriculture, as traditionally agricultural land has been used for the expansion of urban areas. And research conducted by the DPI during this time suggests that approximately 106 million hectares have been lost from the agricultural industry between 1972 and 2017, and that just highlights the impact that the increasing of population has on land resources. Preempting these issues was the state government. They appointed an agricultural commissioner in 2020 to investigate some of these issues and to provide some recommendations to the government on how to improve outcomes for land use planning through the planning system in New South Wales. Some of the councillors that were here for the previous term might remember that council provided a response to the issues paper that came around in September 2020. And we also supported the REROC submission to the same paper. I'd just like to mention there that our submission, or a portion of our submission, was actually directly quoted by the final report. So I think that's a fairly good outcome for our council. The key recommendation really, or one of the key action recommendations that's come out of the report, is the introduction of state significant agricultural land use planning policy and a supporting map, which they're calling state significant agricultural lands. Catchy titles, I know. So one of the issues that are facing these, what they're terming state significant agricultural lands, is that they don't really have a definition for what is state significant agricultural land. So the whole process around this mapping is to boil down to what the agriculture community and the planning community and local government and all the different stakeholders regard as state significant agricultural land. The mapping that you can see there on your screen on the right side, that's New South Wales. It stretches from the north to the south and probably not quite as far west as it should. But it just, the mapping has been done with reliance on some of the existing data that DPI already have. And this includes the biophysical strategic agricultural land map, data that they have for irrigated lands and the North Coast farmland mapping, as well as other mapping sources such as the land capability classes and other things like that. It's it's also recommended that this mapping be expanded over time to include new data, and it will be supplemented with identified production areas. So that'll zoom in on areas of higher value and or specialised crop production. I might just swap my screen over. It's also proposed to include a verification process for landholders, and this verification process can be used to either include or exclude land. So it'll be up to landholders to provide justification to the department whether or not their land is included or excluded from this mapping. I guess the important takeaway point from all of this is that the mapping is really intended to be predominantly used at a strategic level and enables the local government and industry to adequately plan for agricultural industries and the locations where agriculture is best suited for continued operation. It's not really intended at this stage. The mapping is to be used for development assessment. So it's really intended to guide future local environmental plans and other strategic planning processes like planning proposals that want to rezone land for a different use. We get it back?
Yep, we can see this your shared screen if that's what you want to. Yep.
So I'll just jump into the map itself now. I'll just drive you around some of the mapping that's there for the Junee Shire. Can we see that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Just got the link at the moment. Oh, here we go. Yep.
So this is some of the draft mapping for Junee Shire. Obviously, we've got Junee here, and Ilvo, and Bethungra. So one of the issues in reviewing this mapping that I found is that I don't think that they've taken into account the areas of expansion, of natural expansion, of not just Junee, but Ilvo and Bethungra. And even in Bethungra, some of the villages has been included in that mapping. And there's also some lack of continuity in the mapping, like, for instance, why is this bit excluded? There's a few other features like that don't really make sense. But like the department have said, this map is very much a preliminary look at what it could look like and some of the areas that may be impacted like that, and they are seeking our feedback on that. So I'll just jump back into the presentation. It's an interesting map, and councillors are welcome to jump on themselves in their free time, and they can make comments on there as they see fit. That's fine. So yeah, but I guess the other point is that feedback is due on the 31st of January 2022. That's on the initial mapping. So we would be looking to do that. And the other point is that that won't be the last date that we will have to provide feedback and input to the mapping. So yeah, so in summary, I guess the next agenda item will really seek resolution for council staff to put in a submission for the agricultural land mapping, and some of those, the content of that submission would include an increase in distance of excluded areas around some key existing urban areas, more continuity in fragmented sections, inclusion of key rural and supporting industries outside urban areas, because we know how important some of those facilities are in providing support to our agricultural industry in our shire, and just an overall general support for the mapping and the initiative itself. So thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation, and yeah, I'm happy to take any questions that councillors may have now.
Okay, I might just try and get a broader with councillors. How do I do that?
I'd like to thank Rowan Johnson for his talk.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Halliburton. I certainly agree. The concept's a good one. It just needs a bit of fine tuning, but I think your comments are very warranted about buffer zones around, the existing villages and urban areas where we're looking to expand, but yeah, supporting those rural industries that are out there, that we don't want to sort of sterilise things for them too. So good concept. Any comments from councillors? Councillor Callow.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just happy to move the recommendation.
The recommendation. All right. Thank you for doing that. We got a seconder for that? Sorry, Councillor Austin. Very good. All right. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour. Get some hands. Oh, yeah, up there. Yep. All right. I'll declare that carried. Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you, Rowan.
Yep. Excellent. Good summary. Okay, we'll go to item 9, which is the Lawn Street rehabilitation.
Move that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Austin's moving it. Councillor Asmus is seconding it. Thought it might be a bit. Councillor Cook, have you frozen, or you've got a question? No? No? Okay, Councillor Callow. Sorry.
I believe the recommendation is going to require one of 3 options, Mr. Mayor. So
yeah, sorry, I'll just.
I believe option 1 is the one recommended by the Traffic Committee. I'm just wondering whether the mover and seconder are considering that as well.
Yeah, yes, Councillor Callow.
Thanks, Councillor Callow. All right, maybe Councillor Carter, you've got the question.
Yeah, of the 3 different proposals, what's the impact on the traffic parking space, and how many are you going to lose by doing this against parallel parking as against the other option, which is never included? It mentions an increase or decrease, but it doesn't actually say how many.
Councillor, yeah, Mr. McPherson.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the proposal 1, which is nose in parking, you would lose approximately 5 spaces. If you go to proposal 3, you probably wouldn't lose any, but with parallel parking, you then have the problem of the through traffic being stopped every time someone wants to park in there. And I don't think that in that area with the school buses on the opposite side that you want to encourage that. And that's why the traffic committee pushed for proposal 1. And I also mentioned that in the existing car park, you've only got, I think, 21 spaces, but there's probably room in the centre of that car park to put additional spaces just by painting the markings on the ground. And you could probably get between 10 up to 20 extra car spaces in that area. So I don't think there's a problem in going with proposal 1, where you've got the nose-in parking and we retain the trees, which I find most important.
Thank you, Mr. McPherson. Any other questions? All right, we'll put the recommendation. Those in favour? For proposal 1, I should say, yes. Those against, I'll declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. And thank you, Traffic Committee and Mr. McPherson. Okay, we'll move on to the Delegates Reports. We've got an A to I report there that we need a mover and a seconder to adopt. So somebody like to, Councillor Carter's moving, Councillor Halliburton seconding.
Question.
All those in favour?
Question.
Do you want to speak to that, or?
I just want to ask the Minister, the Director of Directors Services, who attended that meeting, on page 8 of that report, which is
We'll get there.
Yeah, sorry.
You're right, I'm doing the same,
Yeah.
Councillor. Don't worry.
$165.
Yeah, I think I've lost it.
Nearly done.
Hydrology on 164, actually.
Sorry, what are those references?
Yeah, sorry, I had it written here, but I've lost it.
Hydrology's up the top, towards the top of 164.
To do with a reference of Gerald Grammer Creek and an impact of either trees or flooding, it had to be getting sorted out. Does she remember any comments on that? Just trying to.
Visual landscape, biodiversity.
My apologies, Council.
164.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Carter, I might come back to you on that.
Yeah, biodiversity on page 5, which is 162. There's a reference to a Gerald Grammer Creek in Illabo and the riparian, what they call it, vegetational impacts.
Riparian.
Expected. Yeah, riparian, yep. But I will take that on notice. I'll accept that on notice.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Carter.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, for getting the pages wrong.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. Any other discussion? We'll put the motion. Those in favour for adoption. Those against, I'll declare that carried. I've got the I2S minutes. Somebody like to move those be adopted? Councillor Halliburton, seconder, please. Oh, Councillor Cook, thank you. All right, we'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? Councillor Clinton, are you voting? Good man, thank you very much. Okay, I'll declare that carried. Now we've got a traffic committee minutes. They need to be adopted. Somebody moving, Councillor Cook, of course. Seconder, please. Councillor Knight. All those in favour? Those against? How are we going, Councillor Clinton and Halliburton?
I'll.
You got a reservation, have you?
No, I'm just wondering where on earth you're going to put the signs there. I'd like to think.
Can we just adopt those and then you might just get a little bit of information for you, Councillor. Okay.
Thank you.
So you're voting in favour and then we'll have a question. Is that all right? Okay, I'll
Usually
clear
the other
those.
way
All right.
I'm just And thank you for providing the drone image of what it was like before. They seem to have taken out a tree and brought the driveway further down towards the bottom. The opening is definitely wider. Where are you going to put the signs, especially the ones on the
Item 1, Cassie Way.
appropriate signage relating to location of the driveway should be erected from both approaches at the owner's expense. Where are they going to be done on the northeastern side? The signage.
So is that a good one for Mr. McPherson?
I just couldn't work out.
Councillor Halliburton, we haven't actually done a survey of exactly where the signs were going. The Traffic Committee and the Transport for New South Wales said that they preferred signs rather than a mirror. The problem is that the owner has already concreted the whole driveway prior to having permission to do so from council. So that's where we're at the moment. He was sent an email on the 8th of December stating that the consideration of the approval of the driveway would go to the Traffic Committee, and then over Christmas he went ahead and concreted the whole driveway. So he really needs some sort of disciplinary action taken from council. We don't have information whether the driveway was put in to the standard that's required by council, and we didn't get the opportunity to discuss with him the positioning of signs or mirrors with him. So he's posed us with a problem that I have never come across in my time, where someone's completed a driveway without the permission of council.
Thank you very much, Mr. McPherson, and I applaud the work that you're doing, and very well done. I must admit it took me ages to work out what had happened. I knew something had happened, but
yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. We just need to finish voting on these minutes. So all those in favour? Those against? Declare that carried. Okay, we've got questions on notice that I think the General Manager was going to say a few words about, were you? Or?
There's no question. There's no questions on notice of motions.
Questions on notice?
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sorry, just on the questions on notice. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I misunderstood.
That's okay. All good.
Verbiage. So there's been a few councillor questions from Councillor Carter. He would like to know where we're up to on a number of things. So the disabled access into the Junee News Agency. Our response is the previous council were advised of this matter and that it could be considered during the development of suitable projects for 22-23. There are several councillor workshops coming up and councillors are invited to raise this matter then for consideration. Please also note that community consultation will begin over the coming months in relation to updating our disability inclusion action plan. This will provide council with valuable feedback on areas the community would like to focus on in priority. Same question, but regarding the Junee Post Office, have plans been approved for these works? The Junee Post Office is a state listed heritage item. The proposed ramp requires both the cooperation of the property owner and the approval of the Heritage Division of the Office of the Environment and Heritage. The time to acquire the Heritage Division's approval took considerable amount, more than a year. In that time, the property owner's interest waned. Council did issue consent with conditions for the ramp on the 21st of August 2018 for the project, but was unsuccessful in gaining appropriate and necessary support for the project to continue. A further question on the same topic, how were the works being funded? Through grant and property owner contributions. The third and final question is, where's the council up to on solar power reviews? Where is council up to with the solar power review started now some 12 months ago? I sought clarification from Councillor Carter about what he was talking about. So the response is the council adopted a renewal energy action plan at its meeting in May 2021. There is a budget allocation to further investigate behind the meter solar installations this financial year, and a further budget allocation in 2022-23 to finalise that work. In this financial year, smart metering technology has been installed in 14 sites, including council's recreation centre, administration building, museum, theatre and library, to assist with further analytical data to support option analysis. This also involves an upgrade to the museum switchboard to accommodate that particular type of metering. The information which now can be obtained through the installation of smart metering can be used to prepare a detailed business case for the next step of our REAP, including the investigations behind the meter solar installations.
Excellent. Great answers.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to the general manager. Thanks for the answers to the questions.
Great. All right. That brings us to the information booklet, which is there for information. And I think that pretty well takes us to the end of our meeting, councillors. Thank you for your attendance. I'll declare the meeting closed at 4:56 p.m. And if you'd like to see.
The recording has stopped.
There we go. All right. Thank you, councillors. And lovely.